Well, now she's gone and ruined everything.
Right now, I'm wearing Focals. They're smart glasses made by a company called North. They start at $600. I've been wearing them for the last couple weeks, and here are my thoughts. The basic idea is that these are glasses with a tiny projector built into one of their arms. It beams an image onto a circular film on the right lens, which bounces it back into your eyeball. As a result, you see an image. It's positioned in your line of sight, it's full color, it's 110 pixels wide. There's a built-in microphone and speaker, but there's no camera.
All Focals does actually is very simple when you think about it. We're adding additional rays of light to all of the light coming in from the world. The power of the display in Focals is incredibly low. Looking at a bright screen, for example, would have more light going in your eye than looking at Focals.
These have a lot in common with Intel's failed Vaunt smart glasses. In fact, North received significant investment from Intel Capital and acquired the Vaunt's IP and patents last year. Amazon is also a backer of North. The main reason Focals stand out in this space is North's focus on making smart glasses that you can wear and not look really bad.
I kind of, looked at my own personal bar for how this needs to be. Like, what would it take for me to wear this?
Which I think they mostly succeeded at, or at least almost succeeded at. But some limitations are immediately obvious. For example, I usually wear glasses, but North could not accommodate my prescription, so I had to get clear lenses in the Focals and wear them with contacts. That's a huge deal. And if you do get prescription lenses, it adds $200 to the price. Plus, to buy a pair of Focals, you have to get your head 3D scanned at one of North's stores, of which there are only 2, or catch them at one of their pop-up locations. And when you put them on, it's immediately obvious why that is. If I move the glasses even a couple millimeters in any direction, the image totally disappears. But when you put them on, they generally stay in place, so it wasn't a huge deal. And they are heavier than normal glasses, but I surprisingly didn't really mind it. After a few days, I could barely notice the extra weight. You control them via a ring with a tiny joystick that you put on your index finger, and I actually hate it a lot less than I thought I would. It's better than having to reach up and touch your glasses to interact with them or talk to them, but you are committing to wearing a plastic ring on your finger all the time. North says the battery will last up to 18 hours, and it comes with this charging case that adds 3 days worth of charge to them. For me, it was more like 12 hours, but it'll obviously depend on how much you're playing with them. The image I see is bright, even outside in the sun, and if I hold out my hand at arm's length, it's very roughly the size of my palm, which is to say, not very big. But you're not meant to be watching movies on these, and with 110 pixels square, you wouldn't want to anyway. Focals are for brief pop-ups of important information, and the image is big enough to do that. That said, the image was always a little blurry for me. I could read text fine, but there was enough blur and ghosting for it to be noticeable and annoying. Also, when you look directly at the image, it is not a great look. You configure Focals using an app on your phone, and anything that pops up on your phone can get pushed to Focals. But right now, beyond that, their functionality is really limited. But there are some things it can do that are genuinely useful. There's basic stuff like the time, the weather, transit information. Amazon Alexa is built in. Alexa, what do you think of these Focals?
I don't have an opinion on that.
Okay. They have hit or miss walking directions. You can read an email but not respond to it, and there seems to be a character limit. You can see news headlines but not click through to the full article. Text messages will pop up, and you get a list of context-specific auto-replies, emoji, and GIFs that you can respond with. Or you can dictate a response using the built-in mic. Realistically, being able to read a text without taking my phone out of my pocket was probably the most useful thing about wearing these. But there are a couple important caveats when it comes to text. First, there's no iMessage integration. I use an iPhone, so if I reply to someone using my Focals, it takes that message, it uploads it to North servers, and then sends it back to me and the person I've replied to from a totally new number. That's probably Apple's fault ultimately, but as it stands, I'm not going to use that. With Android, it's not an issue, uses your regular number. The other thing is that any text you get while your phone is connected to Focals gets uploaded to North servers to be analyzed and generate those context-specific auto-replies. North says that these messages are all encrypted and deleted from their servers afterwards, but it still makes me a little uncomfortable. Since launching, North has been pushing out regular updates to Focals. They just added Spotify control and flight info, so they do seem to slowly be getting more useful. Focals are meant to be smart glasses that are both useful and not a burden to wear, and they do come closer to that than anything else I've seen. I'm not going to be a regular Focals user, but I also don't have or want a smartwatch, which would give you the same kind of information. And that said, yesterday after wearing them all day, I took them off to go to lunch and was annoyed when I had to take my phone out of my pocket to read a text. That is ridiculous, but it's true. I don't know if a world wearing Focals is a better one, but considering how early days this tech is and that it only took half a week for my brain to expect their convenience, I suspect we'll find out soon enough whether we want to or not. Ultimately, Focals are fun to use and look normal enough that you're not going to get stared at. But the novelty wore off relatively quick for me. They just don't do enough for me to want to put these on my face, especially since they can't handle my prescription. If you're someone who gets a lot of alerts on your phone and you need to stay on top of those things while doing other things, Focals might help you. Otherwise, they're probably not going to make your life better.